It was my poetry, and I ended up doing translations as well. So I'm going to read a translation of Rilke from the first poem in the first book of his book called New Poems. And the last translation is the first poem of the second book of that volume, which is like a pretty well-known poem. Early Apollo. As sometimes through the still unleafed branches a morning glances, already completely in spring, so is there in his head nothing that could hold back the gleam of all poems from striking us almost to death. For still no shade hides his gaze, too cool for laurel are his temples still, and only later will his brow be wound with the stems of roses, from which petals, singly, wildly, will drift down to his trembling mouth, that now even is still, never used and glistening, and just with a smile savoring something as if it were flooded with song. This is called the chorus, eponymous song. It seemed to be some success. Still it was helpful to mimic with sympathy the faces in the camera. For a time, life is too brief for memory. Then each year holds more life than the last, and more it is helpful to lie down. Trauma purifies. Cracked hands plunge into cold water so that the chasms are blank and they reject every mode. I used to like to walk out in the street. It was winter, 1980. Elsewhere in Roosevelt Hospital, they declared John Lennon dead. Let me tell you something. It has nothing to do with you. He said, I know the way to have to live, several rooms like this to leave alone. It was, again, 9th Avenue Christmas. It was in frames half hidden by a door left open, somewhere near where his is shut. I said, I thought the way I walked, which is to say, bystanders. 1. He knocks on the door, loud. Let me in. I was listening. Let me in. When he's sitting next to me, I can turn to you, and the moment is about to happen. He knocks on a door. Some people live, painted light, pacing, sculptors sculpt, listeners left alone, to react like you. Now, in cities where intersections of stairs and the streets, he will knock doors down to give ways once, hadn't learned, had never seen open palms of brick fixed, night fixed steel. 2. Of course you haven't left already. What do you think happens if you stay now? This leaves you ruined with mourning underground, certain of greeting the barefoot passing one, who, you're the actor, read me your lines, as if you're standing in the stairway well of light. Read, I have to die, or else I can't go on. Laughter, you lift the shadow of the jaw from the throat. Another year, weren't you under the larger to wander? How goes it? Going wonderfully. It goes, full of wonders, normally. I have a desk job that requires no work, so I read and read, and read, and what else? What else? No turbulent love storms, fidgeted from equanimity, revelation, writing anything good. Writing, good, wonderful, yes. Fighting already, aren't we? Maybe I wasn't looking. You were bored when I knew you too. Gave a word, king of nothing, thought alone. I can't know if you're well or not. I hope you are. I wish you were. Send me something to read. 3. What you're alone with became the world. A day was happening someplace else, somewhere soon. It didn't matter that everything we do, names do because of us. Nothing they do, we do, but they, being they, we react first to them. And late in sun to the recognition, and again. Was that you in the lake, as sunken? The violence of the unspeakable is mimicked by the timidity to mention it. Stolen through the levels of seriousness. When the curtains opened, I realized you weren't defending anything. Behind you, even scenery, framed, hung, stuck. Even behind you, scenery, scenery where you never were, backdrops loudest in footlights waning above the wings. Slipped hours in the living room, wide windows vaulted, drained wood, the certain gesture of his wrist. He'd stood up idly before the scenery. One figure in the painting smeared the shadow of another. When we were alive, it was like this. There were blank faces of pages we had only forgotten. And Archaic Torso of Apollo. We never knew his incredible head where the eyes were ripening wide, but his torso glows, even now, like a chandelier, where his look, just turned low, holds itself and gleams. Otherwise, the bend of the breast could not blind you, and in the quiet swivel of the hips, a smile could not go to that center where creation was born. Otherwise, this stone would stand displaced, stunted below the shoulder's see-through fall, and would not flicker so, like the hide of a beast, and would not break out from all its margins, out like a star, for there is no place that does not see you. You must change your life.